I remember in my mid to late 20s becoming interested in emergency preparedness. Part of this was understanding amateur radio's place as a critical communications tool in the event of a disaster. I began studying for my amateur radio exam, and within about a week's time, I had passed my technician exam and received a call sign from the FCC, KI7QCF. Other than the sticker I got from Etsy and a handheld radio, my participation in the hobby was largely non-existent. And up until that point, outside of the emergency implications, I really just viewed amateur radio as kind of older, outdated technology with not much usefulness today. In my mind, we have cell phones that we can use to make phone calls, we can send text messages, we can send videos and photos. We also have a plethora of social media resources where news and information is shared, not to mention the World Wide Web and information age of the internet. So here's the part of the video I've been trying to get to. When is the last time in your life you accomplished effective communication with someone not immediately next to you, without entirely relying on some sort of grid or communications infrastructure solely provided by a third party? The answer for most people is never. Unless you're an amateur radio operator. Amateur radio operators utilize their own communications infrastructure, their own radio, their own antennas to accomplish close range and very, very long range communication without any reliance on a third party or grid system. While we definitely use electricity at home, we have the ability with battery powers to set up mobile stations and accomplish the exact same ability to communicate close range and long range. This is thanks to the ionosphere's ability to take our signal that we propagate and bounce it back down to Earth to a receiving station somewhere in the world. You can look up any of the major disasters that have happened in the world over the last 12 to 24 months, and surely you will find information that amateur radio played a critical role because of its independent communication system, providing people with effective communication in these events. Okay, so this is all a really cool story, but what does this have to do with me again? How did I go from someone that got their amateur radio license, printed a few stickers, did absolutely nothing in amateur radio for 6-7 years, to someone that is completely consumed by it? It's my favorite hobby of all time, and I really care about sharing it with others. Well, let's jump into that story.
Guilty as charged with the stories.
Oh God, you're impressive.
You see this extremely handsome man? This is my Uncle John, K7CO, and I've followed him for years on YouTube because he's a pretty big flight simulation streamer, and I'm really into aviation, so I like watching his simulation videos. Well, one day in late 2023, he posted this video of him out at a park doing Parks on the Air, showing a really cool antenna setup, hopping into his car and busting out some Morse code. I'd love to say that I was captured instantly and knew that this was love at first sight, but my actual feeling when I watched this was I was kind of annoyed. I was like, what is that? What is he doing? There's no way he can understand that. He's doing Morse code. This is crazy. One thing led to another, and by the next day I had purchased my first key as well as a practice oscillator. I would have never guessed within a couple months I would be doing the exact same thing I had just seen in that video. Outdoors with a Morse code field operation, copying and transmitting Morse code proficiently. I think it was something that I just wanted to prove to myself that I could do, and as I started to take small baby steps towards it, I became more and more captivated. It's so funny in life to look back at what seems like pretty insignificant moments only to see how big of a fork in the road they were for our lives. A lot of us try to find those things in our life to challenge ourselves. For me, I'm so glad it was Morse code, and it's hard for me to put into words why I love it this much. To best explain it, I'd like to read this quote. "The code connected me to a world judged only by what they said and the skill with which they said it. No age, race, religion, gender, or politics. Just minds connecting to other minds via the ether." Chris Rakowski. I think this quote really sums it up better than I ever could. Morse code connected me to a new world through something that is very magical and sounds very beautiful to me. When I'm engaging with someone, I don't know their gender, I don't know their name, I don't know their religion, their race, their politics, and frankly, it doesn't matter. We're just connecting with each other through our own communications infrastructure, and it's really, really special to be able to do that in today's world. I'm still completely mind blown when I take a wire and I throw it up in a tree, and through a small little radio that I built, I send out Morse code, and someone somewhere responds to me. There's nothing else like that. Connecticut. And as much as I love the code, I also am obsessed with everything about the code. I love collecting paddles, bugs, stray keys. I love understanding the different manufacturers and origins of manufacturing for many of these keys, and I love using all of them, in the field or in my shack. Equally so, I love QRP, or 5-watt radios. I love little radios that are super packable that I can take out into the field to operate Morse code. Many of which are ones I've actually built entirely on my own, without any prior building experience. There's something special about making communication happen through my own infrastructure that I made with my own hands. I love doing this with antennas, and I've also done it with some other fun gadgets like manual tuners, power meters, SWR meters, and even dummy loads. I hope CW calls out to you the same way it did to me, and that you'll join me on this journey.